Hello, everybody. This is Rick Hodge, Athletics Director here at Pine County High School, and I wanted to give a brief presentation about the cost of transportation for us in this fall season. And the two sports that I looked at were football and volleyball. And the first one that you can see on your screen here being football, and we started with the varsity. And with the varsity team, the dates are lined up here as well as the destination and where the trip went to. When you calculate the mileage for the trip, we took the mileage it was from one school to the other and then had to double it because they're driving home. And that's why the numbers look a little bit higher than what they maybe should be. And you can see that, and we multiply that by 50 cents per mile, which is what it costs for fuel. And you can see in the two columns that we have here miles for the trip, and then base that off of 50 cents a mile, how much each trip cost us in fuel. But the bulk of the cost for a trip is the drivers, and we have the time, how long it takes. Now the thing about the time is, this is from the time we have to pay our drivers from the moment they go pick the athletes up until they get home after the game. And especially with football, they get there very, very early, and for them to warm up, go through a game, and then post game talk with the coaches, change, get home. So it's quite a few hours. And then we multiply that by, we pay our drivers $15 an hour. So that tells you how much each trip cost when it comes to paying a bus driver. And then we add the two columns up there to give you how much total cost was for the trip. At the bottom here in the red, you can see where the varsity totals are. Those are just from the varsity games, how many miles it was over the course of the season, multiplied by 50 cents per mile. And then same thing with hours, how many hours we had to pay transportation drivers, and then also $15 an hour. So you can see the total cost down here for varsity. And then as we scroll down, you can also see that for the junior varsity team. Now, the junior varsity team only had 4 away games this year. And you can see the numbers here, same equation, number of miles to and from our high school, times 50 cents a mile. And then same thing with the bus drivers. We paid the bus drivers the same amount. For JV, freshman, whatever it might be. And so the JV costs for football were $354.50. And then we also had a freshman team. Now, the freshman team played on their own night as well. That's the thing about football. They're playing on 3 different nights, varsity, JV, and freshman. So here are your freshman numbers that you have down here at the bottom. And then when you add up all of the totals for the football season, it's here in the green, which is with all 3 teams, 758 miles were traveled. Multiply that by 50 cents per, and you have $423. And then here you have 90 hours, 90 and a half hours. Multiply that $15 an hour. So the whole cost for the football program this fall was $1,780.50. And when you go to the next one that we have, which is the volleyball team, and with the volleyball team, you can see here, the thing about volleyball is varsity and junior varsity travel together. They only needed one bus. And so that's why varsity and junior varsity are together as you go through their away games that they have. There's a lot more away contests for volleyball with different tournaments. They're in the 2 different tournaments, but the same equation. Miles of the trip to go to different places. Cost of fuel is still 50 cents a mile, no matter what sport it is. And then that's what you have for varsity, JV, and then the time it takes to, again, pick the volleyball players up, take them back to the school. Not quite as long for volleyball. They don't need to be at the game as early, but there is 2 games, so that's kind of the difference. When you go to a football game, it's 1 game, but the football players need to be there plenty early. Volleyball, not as much time. However, there are 2 games, varsity and JV. So they kind of offset each other there. So there's your time. And then again, it costs us $15 an hour. A lot of this is because of the fact that we have our own buses and transportation department. We do not hire out. So this kind of gives you a good idea of what it's providing for us. And then here's the total cost of all of our trips for varsity volleyball. As you can see in the red, just like the previous page for football, here are the numbers that we have. It was $1,706.50 to transport the varsity girls. And then you have the freshman team. Now, the freshman team had their own night. They only had 4 away games this season. The rest were at home or canceled because of COVID. But the same equation is being formulated here. Freshman totals that you have, and when you look at the freshman tallies towards the bottom here in the red, how much it costs to transport the freshman volleyball team, it was $336. So when you add the varsity JV up here to the freshman, it cost us $2,042 to transport the volleyball team this season. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it's costing in transportation, since we do it ourselves and we don't hire out or lease out buses. So it kind of gives you a good idea of where we are. So thank you for listening to my presentation.